We've not waited more than 15 minutes, and just as well. So many rat-plagued bergamots approach us already, and are not easily dissuaded from employing us, when the front door flies open on a lusty scream. The hag, aghast, flings her arms round flinching Furioso. How fortunate 'tis to find him! But at the whiff of me she's sneezing so valiantly, her eyes awash, the vertical gutters of her nostrils aswill with snot. She can barely depict the scenes inside. Ratus domesticus dead in her bed and all, and worse, in the missus' room. So Signor Furioso and his questing puss are ushered into the very sanctuary of the goddess, our presence announced by a fanfare from her keeper on the nose-harp. A tissue! Sweet and pleasant in a morning gown of loose linen, our ingénue jumps at the tattoo of my boot heels, but recovers instantly, and the wheezing, hawking hag is in no state to sniffle more than, "Ain't I seen that cat before?" "Not a chance," says my master. "Why, he's come but yesterday with me from Milano." So she has to make do with that. My tabs has lined the very stairs with rats. She's made a morgue of the hag's room, but something more lively of the lady's. For some of her prey she's very cleverly not killed but crippled. A big black beastie weaves its way towards us over the Turkey carpet. Puss, bounce! Between screaming and sneezing, the hag's in a fine state, I can tell you, though milady exhibits a most praiseworthy and collected presence of mind, being, I guess, a young woman of no small grasp, so perhaps she has a sniff of the plot already. My master goes down hands and knees under the bed. "My God!" he cries, "there's the biggest hole, here in the wainscoting, I never saw in all my professional career. And there's an army of black rats gathering behind it, ready to storm through, to arms!" But for all her terror the hag's loath to leave the master and me alone to deal with the rats. She casts her eye on a silver-backed hairbrush, a coral rosary, twitters, hovers, screeches, mutters until milady assures her, amidst scenes of rising pandemonium, "I shall stay here myself and see that Signor Furioso doesn't make off with my trinkets. You go and recover yourself with an infusion of friar's balsam, and don't come back until I call." The hag departs quick as a flash. La Belle turns the key in the door on her, and softly laughs, the naughty one. Dusting the slut fluff from his knees, Signor Furioso now stands slowly upright. Swiftly he removes his false moustache, for no element of the farcical must mar this first delirious encounter of these lovers, must it? Poor soul, how his hands tremble! Accustomed as I am to the splendid feline nakedness of my kind, that offers no concealment of the soul made manifest in the flesh of lovers, I am always a little moved by the poignant reticence with which humanity shyly hesitates to divest itself of its clutter of concealing rags in the presence of desire. So first these two smile a little, as if to say, "How strange to meet you here," uncertain of a loving welcome still. And do I deceive myself, or do I see a tear, a twinkle in the corner of his eye? But who is it steps towards the other first? Why, she. Women, I think, are of the two sexes the more keenly tuned to the sweet music of their bodies. A penny for my foul thoughts, indeed! Does she, that wise, grave personage, in the negligee, think you've staged this grand charade merely in order to kiss her hand? But then, Oh, what a pretty blush! Steps back. Now it's his turn to take 2 steps forward in the saraband of Eros. I could wish, though they'd dance a little faster. The hag will soon recover from her spasms, and shall she find them in flagrance? His hand, then trembling upon her bosom, hers, initially more hesitant, sequentially more purposeful, upon his breeches. Then their strange trance breaks. That sentimental hovering done, I never saw 2 fall to it with such appetite. As if the whirlwind got into their fingers, they strip each other bare in a twinkling, and she falls back on the bed, shows him the target. He displays the dart, scores an instant bullseye. Bravo! Never can that old bed have shook with such a storm before. And their sweet, choked mutterings, poor things. I never, my darling, more, and etc., etc., enough to melt the thorniest heart. He rises up on his elbows once and gasps at me, "Mimic the murder of the rats, Puss. Mask the music of Venus with the clamour of Diana. A-hunting we shall go, loyal to the last. I play catch as catch can with Tab's dead rats, giving the dying the coup de grâce, and baying with resonant vigour to drown the extravagant screeches that break forth from that, who would have suspected, more passionate young woman, as she comes off in fine style. Full marks, master." At that the old hag comes battering at the door. What's going on? Why, for the racket, and the door rattles on its hinges. "Peace!" cries Signor Furioso. "Haven't I just now blocked the great hole?" But milady's in no hurry to don her smock again. She takes her lovely time about it, so full of pleasure gratified her languorous limbs, you'd think her very navel smiled. She pecks my master prettily, thank you, on the cheek, wets the gum on his false moustache with the tip of her strawberry tongue, and sticks it back on his upper lip for him, then lets her wardress into the scene of the faux carnage with the most modest and irreproachable air in the world. See, Puss has slaughtered all the rats. I rush, purring aloud, to greet the hag. Instantly her eyes overflow. "Why, the bedclothes so disordered," she squeaks, "not quite blinded, yet, by phlegm, and chosen for her post from all other applicants on account of her suspicious mind, even, oh dutiful, when in grande peur de rats. Puss had a mighty battle with the biggest beast you ever saw upon this very bed. Can't you see the bloodstains on the sheets? And now, what do we owe you, Signor Furioso, for this singular service?" 100 ducat, says I, quick as a flash, for I know my master, left to himself, would, like an honourable fool, take nothing. "That's the entire household expenses for a month," wails Avarice's well-chosen accomplice. "And worth every penny, for those rats would have eaten us out of this house and home. I see the glimmerings of sturdy backbone in this little lady. Go pay them from your private savings, that I know of, that you've skimmed off the housekeeping." Muttering and moaning, but nothing for it except to do as she is bid, and the furious sir and I take off a laundry basket full of dead rats as souvenir. We drop it, plop, into the nearest sewer, and sit down to one dinner honestly paid for a wonder. But the young fool is off his feed again, pushes his plate aside, laughs, weeps, buries his head in his hands, and time again goes to the window to stare at the shutters behind which his sweetheart scrubs the blood away, and my dear Tabs rests from her supreme exertions. He sits for a while and scribbles, rips the page in four, hurls it aside. I spear a falling fragment with a claw. Dear God, he's took to writing poetry. I must and will have her for ever, he exclaims. I see my plan come to nothing. Satisfaction has not satisfied him. That soul they both saw in one another's bodies has such insatiable hunger, no single meal could ever appease it. I fall to the toilette of my hinder parts, my favorite stance when contemplating the ways of the world.